it's Nyasha, and today we are going to be diving into my political art analysis piece. We are going to be determining whether this piece of art is valuable or not valuable through aesthetic reasoning. Obviously, I intend to break down why I think this piece is valuable. So, without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy, and we're gonna get into it. So, I'm going to start by giving us a breakdown of what this video is going to be structured like. Number one, we're going to talk about the social, historical, and political context of this video. Number two, we're going to talk about the artist information. Who is this person? Where did they come from? All of that good stuff. Number three, we're talking about the artist's purpose, what the intention was when they made this song, what they wanted us to understand, or what message they were trying to convey. Number four, we're going to do an evaluation of why I absolutely believe that this art piece is valuable. And then, of course, from that, we will get into my thesis statement, and then I will break down the 6 aesthetic principles that we have coming or derived from this piece of art that I have chosen. Brenda's Got a Baby by Tupac Amaru Shakur. First of all, Tupac was a rap god in the house that I grew up in. My father absolutely loved Tupac, and I feel like if that was a disease, it was definitely infectious because I love him as well. And I could have chosen changes to talk about to relate it to political art, but Brenda's Got a Baby is a very interesting song because it's a song that not a lot of people know about. And so in that way, I wanted to challenge myself to talk about something that wouldn't necessarily be the easiest form of art for me to break down. So boom. Social, historical, and political context of the song. So Brenda's Got a Baby was released in 1991 during a time when issues of poverty, teenage pregnancy, and systemic racism were prevalent, particularly in urban areas in the United States. The early 90s saw a rise in awareness about social injustices, and Tupac's voice became a great voice for marginalized communities. Tupac Amaru was an American rapper and actor. He is regarded as one of the greatest and most influential rappers of all time. He was born June 16th, 1971 in East Harlem, and he died at the age of 25, September 13, 1996. He used his platform to address social issues including racism, poverty, and violence. Tupac's work often reflects how difficult it was for him to grow up in a very challenging environment. Tupac's intention with Brenda's Got a Baby was definitely to shed light on how difficult it is for women who are growing up in impoverished neighborhoods. He aimed to create empathy and understanding for those who are often overlooked and to challenge societal norms regarding teenage pregnancy as well as poverty. My evaluation is that the artwork is extremely important as it sheds light on critical and social issues and encourages discussions about systemic inequalities. The song's deep storytelling approach makes me connect to open my eyes and see like Brenda's plight, and I think this makes it such a powerful tool to address social change. My thesis statement is that Brenda's Got a Baby is a very valuable piece of art because it highlights struggles of people who are growing up or living in marginalized communities. It challenges and confronts all the listeners to look at the harsh realities of systemic injustice and poverty as well. Brenda's Got a Baby is a narrative that encompasses deep social truths and emotional resonance, which makes it a very valuable piece of art that aligns itself with the aesthetic principles that I'm going to talk about today. Brenda's Got a Baby highlights the struggles she faces, such as poverty, abuse, and neglect, which teach listeners about the harsh truths or the harsh realities of life for many young women in similar situations. I hear Brenda's got a baby, but Brenda's barely got a brain. A damn shame the girl can hardly spell her name. These lines go on to show you just how young Brenda is. When you think of someone who can barely spell their name, you think of a child, a baby, someone who does not know any better. These lyrics are just really great in pointing out how Brenda herself is a baby, a child who is still developing, but also Brenda is having a baby. Like the harsh realities of that, just already by that, we can tell that she's been let down by whether that's her family or her community. It's amazing how Tupac was able to paint this picture that's so vivid, clear, and true. Number two, we dive into the cultural values. When Tupac mentions Brenda's environment and the lack of support from her community, it reflects the cultural values and challenges within marginalized communities. First, we hear Tupac speaking, talking about this issue with a friend of his, and basically the friend responds and he says, "That's not our problem, that's up to Brenda's family." And then Tupac has to stop his friend and he says, "Well, actually, let me get into how Brenda's suffering affects all of us as a community." And then he goes on to say, "Now Brenda really never knew her mom, and her dad was a junkie putting death into his arms. It's sad because I bet Brenda doesn't even know. Just because you live in the ghetto doesn't mean you can't grow." Personally, I believe that in a way, Tupac himself is like reflecting on his life. If we look at songs like Dear Mama, he talks about how his own mother was a crack fiend. He talks about how even though she was a crack fiend, she always was a black queen. And I feel like in a way, Tupac is trying to show, he's trying to tell his story as well through this young girl that he has heard about. Brenda never knew her mother. Tupac never knew his father. Brenda's father is somebody who has fallen prey to this disease that we call addiction. Tupac's mom was somebody who was doing drugs as well, and I think he was trying to paint that picture vivid and true for us. I think these lyrics convey a deep cultural truth about the struggles and challenges faced by African American communities. The lyrics really help us as listeners to understand really the systemic issues that are at play. The song serves as a powerful commentary on social issues. It aims to raise awareness about teenage pregnancy, the lack of family, the lack of community, the lack of support, especially when it comes to teenage mothers. Basically, through Brenda's Got a Baby, Tupac uses this story to advocate for the need for change, as well as highlighting the importance of social support systems for people. Basically, the family that Brenda has or the support system that Brenda has, they don't give a damn about her at all. And he says they don't care if Brenda goes out and has a church of kids as long as when the check comes, they get first dibs. Now, Brenda's belly's getting bigger, but no one seems to notice any change in her figure. She's 12 years old and she's having a baby, in love with a molester who's sexing her crazy. People are actually looking for first grabs, first dibs to get what they can from her. No one is there to protect her. No one is there to defend her or advocate for her. And I think Tupac does a great job in just like being brutal with the lyrics and telling it the way it is. Tupac's way of conveying Brenda's pain and the way he tells her story, it draws me in, or it draws us in as listeners to really want to look forward to what is going to happen to Brenda at the end. And this just like, it makes it so pleasurable. It makes it such a great experience to be inside the song and following how it goes, and you are so invested to want to see, does she end up being okay? Does life get worse for her? Which route is she going to take from this? I'm truly invested in knowing like, how is Brenda going to make it out of this situation? It's so complex and she's so young and she's so alone. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel for Brenda? Lines that convey Brenda's feelings of like desperation and isolation, how she's going through all of these emotions and what she's trying to do to figure out her life. These lines evoke great empathy within the audience or within the listeners. She ends up throwing the baby in the garbage bin just so she can try to keep up with this relationship, pleasing this person who has made her pregnant at such a young age. It's really, really hard, and it makes me deeply sad to think about this situation that Brenda's going through. There is so much suffering, and there's little to no guilt or shame coming from the people who are supposed to be her core support system. We see Tupac saying, Brenda's mom is saying, you're making me lose pay. The social workers here every day. Now Brenda's got to make her own way. She can't go to her family. They won't let her stay. No money, no babysitter. She couldn't keep a job. She tried to sell crack, but she ends up getting robbed. It's more than depressing to just think of how hard she is trying to fend for herself, and still, like, it just seems like she just keeps getting hard knocks from life. I'm overwhelmed with, a feeling of depression. I'm overwhelmed with sadness. You're mad because of the way people treat her. You're disgusted because of what has happened to her. You're sad because of the situations that she's going through. It just brings out all of these emotions that I don't necessarily enjoy feeling, but I can also appreciate feeling them through the way this art piece is so valuable. To conclude on how important and how valuable I think this piece of art is, I will say the lyrics paint a vivid picture of realities faced by many underprivileged neighborhoods, prompting us to confront the injustices that fuel endless cycles of poverty and violence. I am Yasha Gabriella, and this has been my political analysis of the very, very valuable art piece, Brenda's Got a Baby by Tupac Shakur. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time.